Hello. Now, you see this gentleman here, his name is Rob Davis and he owns a shop in Wrexham. It appears to be a sort of junk shop type shop, you know, old stuff, used stuff, interesting, quirky stuff, that sort of thing. None of it of terribly high value, you would think. But, let's take a look at Mr. Davis to start with. If you happen to pass him in the street, you'd look at him and you'd think, this is a fellow who has been a hippie since he was 17. And when he was in his 20s, he was going peace and love man and living in a squat somewhere or a flat with a cooperative with a bunch of other friends, you know. And now he's earning a living by trading in small stuff. And he has been reduced to putting up a sign in his shop. He's showing it here, which I assume you can't read because it's rather small. This is the Metro, by the way, which is, again, it's on reader view. That's what it's called. It's on reader view because the original page view, I have to sign a contract for them to buy my soul for the next 20 years or whatever. So I keep these things on reader view. Let's see what Mr. Davis wrote in his shop. He was obviously having to lock some small shiny items up or whatever. And he put this sign here: due to scumbags shoplifting, please ask for assistance to open cabinets. Thank you. All right. Mr. Davis was reported to the police by one concerned citizen over this, and the full force of the law descended upon his hairy head for his use of the word scumbags in relation to shoplifters, who I'm sure you will all be glad to know appear to be a protected category now in British society. I'm Granniopteryx. Right, please like this video, please subscribe to my channel, and please share. Sharing is very important. It's actually more important than financial help. But if you want to help me financially, I'm really delighted with that. All the links for any sort of contributions are in the description. But sharing, that's really important, and I'd appreciate you doing that. Okay, well, let's get on with talking about shoplifting. Let's talk about why shoplifting is such an issue, and we should be all very concerned about it. There are two ways of shopping. The first is you come into an area and then there's a counter between you and the goods, and you have to ask for each item individually. This is extremely labour intensive, and most shops can't afford the number of staff that would be required for that sort of a transaction. And they can't afford it, not because they can't afford to pay the wages, although that might be part of it, but they can't afford to pay all the other penalties that government has imposed on people who are employers. There's national insurance, there's general insurance, there's labour laws about sacking people. Once you've taken somebody in, you then become liable to all sorts of penalties if you sack somebody that you don't like or you find incompatible or who even is dishonest. There was a case a while ago where a unfortunately honest hairdresser was interviewing assistants, and this woman walked in and she was wearing a hijab and wanted a job as a hairstylist. And this woman, being an honest person, said, look, wearing a hijab, that's not part of the sort of image I want my shop to have. If nobody can see your hair, then it's not going to look very modern here. The woman went straight out and to some sort of a labour lawyer, and they sued that prospective employer into closing her business. That's the way labour laws are now. Now, if the woman had been actually insulting to the hijab wearer, I could understand that hijab wearer taking offence. But she was just being honest about her opinions of what sort of a vibe her shop was going to give. That didn't matter. Labour laws being the way they are. So, generally speaking now, the only choice any small business has in the way of providing things for people is to have everything out and the public serving themselves, and then the shopkeeper relying on that person to bring whatever they've picked up to the counter to pay for it. This also catches them in a bind because there are some people who aren't that honest. And anyone who, I don't know why anyone starts a business nowadays. It's like everything is against them. I had a friend who moved to the country from the big city, just like we did. And he was astonished at how he realised how he was constrained by the distrust people have of each other in the city. And I remember once on a trip, this was actually to the Isle of Man. I was visiting, I told you I have relatives there. I was visiting the Isle of Man, and I was just driving somewhere in the north of the island. I don't remember where it was exactly, but there was a little kiosk there, a wooden shed, and it said eggs. So I thought, I'll take some fresh farm eggs back to my host. And I went in there, and there was this, there were these two shelves on either side of the shed, and one said medium eggs. I don't know how much it was, but let's say £1, and the other one was extra large eggs, £1.50, whatever it was. And there was a little box at the back, and that was a receptacle for your money. And I bought some of the eggs, and I left the money. And as I came out, I thought, anyone who tried that trick in London, not only would the box with the money have gone in about 10 minutes, and the eggs, but the shed too. But you see, it saves you time when you trust people. I didn't have to go to a shop. I went in there and I just got some eggs. And that person didn't have to hang around keeping an eye on the merchandise. It just saves you time. So when people steal, they not only rob you of goods, they rob you of your life. They rob you of time in your life. And what are the implications of what the police did here? Well, look, I'll just read from this article. Rob Davis, 61, who runs Run Ragged, a shop selling retro vintage items in Wrexham, North Wales, installed a notice warning shoppers he had locked cabinets due to a recent spate of thefts. He said he'd lost around £280 due to shoplifting alone in the last year. £280 isn't an incredible amount of money, but it's obviously a lot to him. And that's the problem. If he can't make a livelihood, what's he going to do? Throw himself on the state for, sustenance? Well, that's what he will end up having to do. And it seems like the whole setup of the state appears to be leading to this. People unable to make a living because the state is against them, and then they end up begging the state for maintenance. The sign said, due to scumbag shoplifting, asked for assistance to open cabinets, and the officers took a different view, telling the store owner that his notice was provocative and potentially offensive. Yet it was offensive. It was meant to be, because he was angry. Now, actually, I wouldn't have written that myself. I would have said something like, I need to make a living, and because shoplifters are stopping that, I'm locking the cabinets, please ask for assistance. Something along those lines. I'd have probably tightened it up a bit, but you get the picture. But this man is angry. You know, they say, what do they say? A conservative is a liberal who got mugged. I mean, this guy was probably a liberal in his youth. I mean, judging, I'm judging on appearances. I could be completely wrong. But he appears to have been something of a hippie in his youth. And now he's calling shoplifters scumbags. I don't blame him at all, by the way. He insisted, that's interesting, he insisted that the only people who should be offended by his warning are shoplifters. But somehow that looks like arse there, doesn't it? Which is sort of appropriate. Well, guys, if you know me, you will know I don't mean to cause offence, but in this case, please feel free to be offended and stop frequenting my shop, he said. You know, when the police come down on the side of shoplifters, it means that we resent the police. We're paying their wages, and so when they want our help, you know, keeping an eye out for other things, are we going to cooperate with them? No, we're not. It's a breakdown of our society facilitated by the government. Now, the North Wales Police, I don't know where I found it, but OK, I'm going to misquote. Apparently, North Wales Police response to this was that they have a proactive approach to supporting offenders with substance or alcohol issues. So what they're saying here is people who are shoplifting because they're junkies, we support them. And so this man is wrong. That's the implication. And this is where everything's gone wrong. The police support offenders, people who are breaking the law, against people who they think are causing verbal offence in saying things which aren't against the law. I found examples of the same sort of things happening in Brighton, Birmingham, Durham. It's all over the place. It is a police issue. It's not just the Wrexham police, although this is a particularly egregious example. It's not just happening in Wrexham. So, yeah, that's it. We are watching our society fragment. And it's our government and the legal authorities that are doing the fragmenting. The average Brit still knows what's right and what's wrong. But the law and the government apparently do not. That's odd, isn't it? Till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.